piove su.
Hello, my name is Polly and I made this video for fun, just to share my knowledge about some of the buttons and how they work on the Silhouette Cameo. Enjoy. Hello, here we are again, and we'll start out with, this is the page that you open up when you're going to do some designing. And as you can see, we have a gridded page, and I moved it over a little bit here. This is what your design space looks like. Okay, so you can go up to the top or to open that. And right now we're going to open the Silhouette store and show you how you can buy things from the Silhouette store. Those are the three main buttons. The drawing area, which you see open right here with the grid and everything. And it has squares, and those squares are an inch around. And this is the Silhouette store. Click on that and you go in and you can purchase your designs here. You can go all over. Here's where the free designs are. There's always a free design of the week. So you click on that and your free design of the week will come up. And also, these are all the other free designs. This one here with the says I own it is the one that I bought today for this week. But and I get them all the time, so you can see all the ones I own. The ones with the blue tab you get for free if you buy something else. Then you get that one for free. You got to spend so much. There's what's new. That's another tab that shows you all the designs that are new. And in here now it's Easter week, so you can see there are many Easter designs, and you can see some are on sale. And when you hold your cursor over it, it highlights that one and gives you a close-up of it. And there's 3 pages here. You can go to all 3 pages. We're not going to do that today. Then there's Ready, Set, Made. These are several designs put together to make a project. And when you click on that, you can see these are a little more expensive designs that you can buy. Excuse me. But you can make this whole project with every design that's in there. Here's a little fragrance box. To your right is a napkin holder. There's lots of different ones. You can also go to the Silhouette store and shop by artist. If you are a graphic designer and you want to sell your or put your designs up, you can do that. There's a lot of different designers here. And if you find one that you like their designs better than another, you can always go and look through their designs to find them. And they also probably sell on things like Etsy or have their own websites as well, but they sell right through here and then it goes right into it. You can also click this button, subscribe and save. I do not, but you can pay so much per month and then get so many designs each month for free. Not really free, but for that design price. And some people just subscribe to that so they can always get their designs. I buy just per month or per design and just pick out the designs that I like. You can also start a wish list of ones that you do like. Now here's your cart. I don't have anything in my cart. I am already signed in, as you can see. I have set up my PayPal account to pay for these so that it just automatically goes through my PayPal account. You can put it up to your credit card account as well. And I'm not buying anything here today, so you're not going to see anything in my cart or see how that is done. That would be another great video to do. So now we're going to go back to the library. This is the second button here where it says Show My Library. Now these were items that I purchased earlier, and this is where it goes. It goes under Recent Downloads, and they're right there. And you can then sort them into the your own folders here. Now here's my fonts. All fonts that you buy automatically go into this folder. You don't have a choice. And later on I'll tell you about the fonts on your computer, because you can use any font from your computer on your Silhouette. But that's on the Design Sense page, so we won't go there. But as you can see, you have all these designs. I can show all my designs. Now some of these designs are screenshots that I traced and put in. Some I bought from Creative Market or Fonts Bundles, which also sells other designs. So you can put designs from any place you purchase them into your Silhouette. Now these are the ones I purchased myself are SVU ones, because if you look on the top it says Silhouette Studio Design Issue. Now if you go over to the left here, I clicked on My Library, where it has, and I right-clicked, and then it says New Folder. And then if you scroll down, you'll see where that new folder went. You can add new folders and make them up all yourself. This one's called Untitled, and you right-click on it, and then you can name it. As you can see, I named all these so that I can divide my designs up into things that make sense to me. You can divide them up however you want. Now, if you right-click on that again, you can delete that folder. So if there's ever a folder you don't, but if you delete that folder with all the designs in it, your designs are gone as well. Now here's my recent downloads. I'm going to a baby shower, so I bought some baby stuff. Now as you see, I click and drag, and I can drop it right into my baby items folder. Boom, there you go. Here's another one. Boom, there you go, right into the folder. So then there isn't anything in your recent downloads. So let's go back to our design area. Here is my design area. Now, as I told you before, we're going to talk about fonts. This is where you click fonts. I click that, and over on your right is all a list of all the fonts on your whole computer. Now, you can scroll down through there. It starts from A and goes all the way up. All the fonts that I have in my computer are listed here, as well as the ones in your font book under the library. So I can go here and I can click on any one of these and use them, and it's just like typing. Now remember, when you're using some of these, you can use them with your Silhouette's sketch pens, and they will write perfectly. But if you want to actually cut some of these, of course, are not going to be cuttable fonts because they're made for writing, not cutting. So I'm going to pick this font on a stick, okay? And then I'm going to scooch the screen over again a little bit and click again on my text. And then I click onto my design area, and I get this blue arrow or line there, and that's where my font is going to type. Okay, so here I am. I'm going to type, and I'm just going to use the word text. Now I see it comes in a green box there with the little X. I can show you that in another, what the fun things to do with that. But when it's gone, I can just click on it, and I just get a regular box that can move. I can make the text bigger with this. I can put a hand in the middle and move it anywhere I want. Now you see down on the right, it says my text size was 100. I'm going to move it back down to under that amount, as you can see. And I put it again in the green box and highlight it. And then you can see I can change it to 9 or 18. See how small it gets? I can go all the way up to 208. I'm going to pull that down again. Okay. 208, or any size that I want it to be. I can center my text in that box if you have more than one line, or I can move it to the left or right. You can justify it any way you want. Now, another thing I'm going to do is highlight it, right-click, and then I'm going to go down to Ungroup. Okay? This separates each letter. Now, as you can see, I highlight that, highlight the T, and then I can move the T anywhere I want. Okay? And the X and the E and the... Now I'm going to highlight it again, and I'm going to group it back up. And I'm going to ungroup it again. See, you can do it several times. Now I'm going to just highlight the T and drag the T over just a bit. If you can see, it's crossing over on the X, and now I'm going to click on the E and do the same thing. It connects overlapping a little bit. And then the T, because I want this one word to cut out on my, for a card. I don't want to have each letter separate. I want it to be one word. Then I'm going to right-click and weld. Now if you see, this is all one word. All those lines are gone in between the T and the X and the E's. All that is gone, and it's one word, and I have to move it as one word. Okay. You can also, wrong button. You can also do the welding by clicking on this modify button. There's weld and there's intersect. There's many different ways to make, to subtract and crop and do all sorts of things in there. You should try those each with a word, and you can see where different areas to do. I just want to show you the weld. Now the other thing I'm going to show you again is clicking on the whole word text. Sometimes you want to put that little background behind a word on chipboard. So here we're going to use the offset button down on the bottom here. As you see, it went around the edge of my text. Now again, there's an offset button on the top. I click that and it gets me to the same information on the right hand side where I can decide how wide I want that text. See how much wider I can get it? And I can go down. I can use sharp corners or round corners or whatever. So I'm going to leave it right like that where it's a little around it, because you might want to put cut that out in chipboard, then put a background color in that background. And now as you see, I've got all these little doodads in here that I don't want, because I want that chipboard to be one full piece. So I'm going to go on the left, click the eraser. You have all different eraser shapes that you can erase with. I just chose that one, and I'm just going to go over what I don't want and erase that out. Now I can cut this out of chipboard and then say a solid color paper, glue the paper on top of the chipboard. And then I cut the text out of a solid flowered paper, and I can put the text on top of that other printed chipboard with paper on it. And you've got a little raised design to put on your card. Okay, see how that works? And it goes right in there. And I can cut those separately by putting them, taking them apart and putting them together. So that was that offset button on the bottom and the offset button on the top are two good things to learn about. And you can offset any shape you want. And it works wonderful. Okay? So also, if you want to see what it's going to look like, you can click that bucket, highlight the text you want, and there it's red. I mean, you can see all the different ones that are on there. And you can see that it is outlined in red, but the text is blue. So you can do that. Then there's patterns. You can see what it would look like in some kind of pattern. If you wanted to print this, put it in this blue polka dots and print. You can go up to File on the very top of your computer. And mind you, I have a Mac, a Book Pro 2015, and that's how I would go up to print. And it would print this blue polka dot text out, and then I could use the print and cut, and then I could cut it out as well if you don't have paper in the color you want. There's all these different options if you have a color printer. So I can change it to any color that is available here. I encourage you to go and to look in this fill pattern and see. Now this is another option too. It shades your words. There's the fill, the pattern, and then the shade. So you can go to this and you can shade it. Look at that. You can make your text look any way you want. It's all different colors, shades, etc. As you see, it's still outlined in red. We'll get to a point where we won't do that. This is the shadow window box. Let's see if I can go to, where am I going to go? Oh, lines. Here you go, the line. I click on the line, and I can change the line of my text to a different color, black, green. So if you want your letter all red when you print it out, you would click red and then fill it in with the blue red. Now also for lines, you can do dotted lines. See how that is? Perforated, checkered lines. Or a solid line. Let's open up a new page. Go up into the upper left-hand corner there, and there's a new page. And let's say I'm going to make a card. So I would go over and check the rectangle. I pick the size of my card. Rectangle. Now remember, after this, you got to go back up and click on and there's a line. And then you go down for your line. Now I have to go up, like I was going to say, up to the arrow and click it so that I'm not making another line. I click on it and highlighted it. Then I go back up to my lines and click perforated. Now see what happens? That line there, I'll zoom in a little bit. That line there is now perforated so that I can fold better fold my card better if I'm using cardstock and making my own card from a cardstock. Okay? See how that works? And you can do perforated lines for making boxes, perforated lines for cards or anything like that. It works wonders. So let's see, where should we go from here? Oh, I can highlight it and I can do line thickness. See how thick I can make it? Thin I can make it. Now let's click on the whole rectangle and look at how thick I can make it. Okay? So if you were just going to make a box and some dots, or you're doing a presentation, you can make your corners sharp, beveled, or rounded. So I encourage you to play around with all these different places and things on this page as well. Okay? So you could print these off and use them for a presentation or whatever. So now let's go over to the replicate window. And we're going to go back to our text. And we're going to put it over here. We're going to erase them. Oh, I'm going to duplicate it to the right. See what that duplicates right to the right. Let's erase one of these. And let's highlight this one and mirror it to the left. So it flips it over. This is good for doing HTV when you use heat transfer vinyls or iron-ons. You want to flip your words so that they come out right when you iron them on. So we'll just get rid of that. This is a wonderful page of being able to make copies of anything you wanted. So let's make this a little bit smaller here and put it up in the corner, and then we're going to fill the page with this. So I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom on the right and click fill the page, and look what happens. It fills the page. That's as many that size as you could get, and without wasting any paper. I know how many of you don't want to waste your paper, but it puts it like that, all on there tight. Now I'm going to undo that, and you can do rotate your copies and make a design. We'll undo that again. I just go up to edit and undo. We can make a row of 3 right across. See how tight together that row of 3 is? Now talking about tightness, let's try something a little bit different. We're going to get rid of these. I'm just clicking, highlighting, and pressing my delete button. We'll go into library, and I know I have a heart in my library, so I'm going to type in heart, and it's going to bring it right up. This is how you can search in your library for anything by word. Let's go back up. Here you go. I like my Echo Park height thing. If we double click on it, it will automatically go on the page. Then I highlight it, and let's make it really small. Put it up in the corner. Oops. Scoot it right up there. And now I'm going to go back to that replicate page and fill the page. Oops, forgot to highlight. There we go. Highlight. Now look at that's as many and as tight together as you can get on a page. So I was a preschool teacher, did a lot of sorting games. So I would cut out hearts with red, blue, and yellow hearts, and then they could sort them. Okay. Now here is the modify page. Now again, I talked about welding. This is again doing that. The trace page. The trace area is a wonderful page. This is like if you want to screenshot anything on your computer and trace it, you can do that. Remember about copyrights. But let's say I'm going to pick a design that I purchased and show you how you can trace it. I don't have to trace these, but I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to pick out a pretty easy one here, this octopus. So I'm going to double click it and bring it into my studio. And then I'm going to press the trace page. I'm going to click select trace area, and then I'm going to highlight over that. That's my trace area. Then I'm going to unclick high pass filter, and then I'm going to play with the threshold, and I'm going to keep moving that up until all my edges are really dark. Now I'm going to have to zero in a little bit here to show you this. I'll zoom in, and you have to look at all the edges on here, how smooth they are, because, oh, I see I didn't get the bottom there, but in my highlight area, but you smooth it. Now watch what happens when I lower the threshold. You can see how those black edges, that's not going to cut a smooth edge there. It's going to make it a scratchy, rough edge. So you want to go all the way to the end. Now some you don't go all the way to the end. Some of them are at 80, 90, and depending upon how intricate your trace item is. Now I'm going to see here where the tip is not connected. If I would click on trace outer edge on the right, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But I want to cut it all separate, so I'm going to click trace. And then I'm going to move the black one away, and you can see all the different pieces that I have here. It traced everything from my octopus that I wanted, all the little pieces. So I could make an iron-on transfer of this. I could cut out the octopus in paper. Now what I did here was I pressed the edit points. So watch what I can do. I can move and edit any line in here. So if you're an artist and you really want to do this, I can make a little crown on his head. Now I'm not a good artist, so you'll notice my pieces aren't just perfect. But look at that. I put a little crown on his head. I can move points anywhere. Why would you want to do that? You say, well, maybe you did a trace and it didn't work really well, and there were edges that were bad. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And to do that, I'm going to take out a piece using my erase tool. Click on the erase tool. I get my little arrow, or my little circle. I erase that. Go back, press my arrow, so I'm back. Then I'm going to select my line tool. And I'm going to click at the end and attach. Now, as you can see, if I cut that, that wouldn't cut good. That would be all yucky in there and rough. So I'm going to do edit points, click on it, and I'm going to try to line up those edit points. You can see how it isn't lined up, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to go back and do edit points and click on the line, and then I can take that arrow, put it right where I want it. Oops, keep trying here. Edit points again. See how easy that is? Just move it around, boom. Now it's not perfect. I'm not a perfect graphic designer, but it will work. And I can still do it again. Lift it up just a little. Just up there. Now that's pretty doggone good, right? And it will cut wonderfully. Now we'll zoom out down in. Oops, a bit more. Pull it down. See my crooked head on there. Okay. Now let's say you want to move this over. Remember, there's a lot of times you have little sections that you want to make design and move them closer together. This is the way to move it. If you can't use your mouse real good or you're unsteady with your mouse, you can go here and put in whatever space you want and click up and down. Okay, so I'm going to put in 5-0 and go up, or go down and go up. I see that it's flashing in there, and that's my problem. I've got to click out of that. Now it will go 500. It wasn't going 500 before. Now let's make it 0, 5, and oops, I haven't clicked outside of it. Now, see how little it's moving? You can make a thing move just so small, just a teensy tiny bit to get those pieces together just so how you want them. So this would be good for letters if you're trying to put a word together with two different kinds of letters, or your letters aren't spacing right. These down here, move it to center, move it to corner. That would be your grid points on your board. So we're going to skip these few open scale window and slash and all that, and we're going to move right on to our design page. Now, we started out with this in the beginning. As I told you, my squares are all an inch, and that, it shows you the print border. Let's just zero out a little bit here so you can see that. Shows you the print border. The cut border is the red line here. I usually leave that on, and your gray line is your print border, because you know a printer only has an 8x10 print gauge. But now this is your page. Let's say you're going to make a card, And you're going to, oops, forgot to highlight this all together. So when I do trace, I forgot to tell you this, sometimes things aren't grouped. So you got to right click and group it. Group it so that all the pieces are together. Okay. So now I put him in the corner because I'm going to do a card and I want to have him placed in the center of my card. And my card is going to be, say, 7 by, oh, I don't know, 7 by, say, 8. Maybe 8 would be good. Okay, 7 by 8. Now I know where to put him in my in the center of my board because my design area is only that big. But I usually leave it at the 12 and I count it out because I just count out my squares. Now you can set what kind of cameo or portrait size mat you have on there, or your curio things, or any size. You can click that to any size mat that you're working on, and it will let you, it will show that size on your mat. Up here you can do custom ones as well. I have not used any of these, so I'm not going to go into that in real detail. Okay, next, let's go up to registration marks. Okay, so when you're doing a print and cut, this is where you would put and add your registration marks. And I'll do that in another video. Here is your grid. Now this is where I told you how I set mine to 1. So that's a 1-inch space. You can set your grid to whatever you like your spacing to be, and the divisions of 4 in there. I like that, but that's up to you. You can take the grid totally away if you don't like it. You can have it snap to the grid, so whenever you're moving this, it's going to snap to that corner that you have. And I don't like that, so I don't really snap to those corners because it will snap to the gray corners as well as the other ones, and I like the freedom to move it exactly where I want it. Now, down here is crosshairs. This is really nice if you're doing a card and you want one side to balance with the other side. You can put your crosshairs on there and see if everything is level in the middle, or your things are, you have your text in the right place, your pictures in the right place, all that. I don't use that crosshairs a lot. I know other people do, but it's not something I do. I'm a grid counter, so I'll take those off. Then here's your ruler. See, it went away. I keep my ruler on so I know when I'm putting things on my mat, where on my mat it's going to set up to. You know, it really helps me to place things on my mat. This is for the curio. I don't have that, so it's grayed out. I don't have a curio again for stippling. That's grayed out. Here is your cutting settings. Excuse me. So when you're going to cut something out, I highlight it and it automatically goes to that. It will cut that. Okay, so that area is going to cut. So I'm going to show you something else. Let's put another design on. We're just going to pick any old one that was available here. We'll do this sun. And again, we're going to put the sun up here. I'm going to have to go to my trace page, select trace. Oops, put it down below here. I have to highlight it. I'll select trace area, cover over. I'm not going to trace all of it. Just for this video, doesn't really matter if I have it all. And I'm going to take off my high pass filter, up my threshold, and trace there, pull off the outer edge. Oops, that stayed on this time. I pulled the wrong one. Pull that one. Now I have 2 items. Now we're going to go back to my cutting area, cut settings, and I'm going to put this down below, and I'm going to say that I don't want to cut both things, right? So I'm going to highlight this one, and then I'm going to say no cut. Highlight this one and press cut. So now when I send it to the silhouette, only the octopus will cut. The other one will not. Isn't that cool? So you can pick and choose what you're going to cut. Then you have to choose what you're going to cut with. Say I'm going to cut this octopus in cardstock. I click on cardstock. So I can just cut around the whole edge of it, or I can cut all those intricate little pieces. I can choose whichever I want here, or I can perforate it or perforate all the pieces. Okay, so I'm going to cut everything. And again, I'm going to pick cardstock. cardstock. And then you saw that blue line went up when I clicked on cardstock. Then we're going to do the arrows here. And here's where you get all your blade settings. This will tell you where on your Silhouette ratchet blade to set it. And 3, it says 3. The speed is going to be 4. And the thickness or pressure is going to be 20. Okay. And here's double cut. If you wanted to go around it twice just to make sure it cuts, that's where you would go. Okay. You can change these. Just because the Silhouette says this doesn't mean you necessarily have to, because there's many different kinds of cardstock, and there are 2 different choices in your of cardstock to do, thicker and thinner. But I can move it up to 23. Let's say I cut something and it didn't work, so I'm going to move it up to 3, right? And the slower you go, the easier it will, the easier it gets, and the more it takes to do that. And you can always do a test cut, which will up in the upper left-hand corner of your paper when you're putting it in on your mat. That will cut a little square with a triangle in it, and it will show you what it's going to cut. And if it doesn't cut all the way through, you come back and you can adjust your cutting settings before you actually cut out your item. Now here's another section which I just love, the line segment overcut. It's usually off, but you can cut it on. So say in those corners by where I raised his head, it isn't totally meeting and it's not cutting good. You can use the line segment overcut. So you press it on, and I usually never have gone over 0.1 or 0.2. And what it's going to do is it's going to go 0.1 or 0.2 over the corner and cut a little bit farther. So you're going to hear your blade going up and down because it's cutting farther over. It doesn't just turn a corner and keep cutting. It goes over, picks up, and then goes and cuts that corner. And sometimes you need that. And so if your paper isn't cutting really well for your scrapbooking tools, this is a great tool to have, to use on. And you click here and you just send it to Silhouette and it will cut whatever you want. Now over here, okay, it says send to Silhouette. That's another button you can cut. You can press the button on the bottom or the one up in the corner, but I'm not connected. So I didn't, so it did not go to my Silhouette, but that's where you would go. Okay, see if there's anything else I didn't tell you about. Here's a folder. I have a folder on my desktop called Silhouette Info where I keep screenshots, some of my Silhouette Studio files that people share with me on Facebook pages and such, or sayings that I like. So you can open anything from a folder as well. Now, like I said, I have the designer edition. It says that up on the top there. That's an extra $27 on Amazon, or an extra $50 on Silhouette, $49 I think. Anyways, and you can, I can do that. You can save up here to however you want it. PicScan is another whole video. Here is the printer. You click there and it will print anything on your page. If you use, like I told you before, those patterns and such. This is a undo, very simple one. This is to use a mouse. I don't use a mouse. I have my little track thing on my computer. So all sorts of things that you can play around with. But those are the basic ones that I wanted to show you. Also, remember how I said group and ungroup by right-clicking? Well, there's buttons down here that you can use for ungrouping. You can see the little blocks around there. Now that's ungrouped. And then there's the group button again. And select all, and just all sorts of little buttons down here. And of course the offset button. It's a good one. Here's another one that you can play with. But there's double buttons a lot of places around in the Silhouette. I hope this video has helped you, and I hope that you learned something, and if you did, like it and share. So thank you very much, and I hope you had a good time watching, learning about Silhouette buttons. Have a great day. Everyone know that I'm not paid by Silhouette, and this is just for fun that I am posting this video for anybody who needs help.